guys, look who it is!
Hey everybody, how's it going? We are back for episode number 2 of Unleash the Podcast. We are, as of this moment, officially legend. Wait for it. Wait for it. I hope you're not lactose intolerant because the second half of that word is dairy. Okay? Blevins is officially legendary, you guys. He made it. He got the card
there, boy.
back. So we are honoring him. Halfway honoring him with the title of the podcast. And also, we're obviously going to be talking about the ESL Legendary Series, so that's another tie-in to the title there. Moral of the story, I'm super clever. Anyways, John, congratulations, buddy.
Thank you, sir. It feels really good. It feels great.
Took you long enough, man.
Yeah. I had like when I posted the picture on Facebook, like 5 people like instantly were like, "Oh, congrats!" But why did it take you so long? Like, I just can't catch a break.
And also, none of them had actually made it themselves.
Well, Narchus had, and you had.
Oh, that's
but
true.
Everyone else had.
Right. Okay, well, the people that did it before you earned the right, and everybody else should shut their mouths.
Yeah, that is true.
Oh man, well, congratulations, as I said. So yeah, we've got a couple things we're talking about in this episode, and the first one is that we're going to make a rudimentary attempt to explain to you what the hell is going on with the Magic Amy debacle, okay? And that's the first thing we're going to get down to, okay? If anybody doesn't know, Magic Amy is currently the most famous professional Hearthstone player on the female side of things, probably not even on the female side of things after this past week. People that have never paid attention to anything Hearthstone related have paid a little bit of attention to this situation. It's kind of a mess, and we don't really know what to make of it yet. No,
I really it's a sticky situation for sure.
Yeah, and so anyways, if you haven't seen her, she is up on the screen now. That's her qualifying for the ESL Legendary Tournament, which was also this past weekend. She swept that tournament. It was a really impressive showing. And then she had to decline her invite to the Legendary Series Finals, which was this past weekend. She cited visa issues. So, Blevins, I don't know if you want to start to explain the situation a little bit.
Yeah, so basically, and a lot of this is still murky. I don't think I at the end of this, I did a little bit of research, and so did a lot of other people did a little more research than me. And basically, what was confirmed was that nothing was confirmed at all. That's basically what it boiled down to. But the story, as I've heard it, this player, Magic Amy, who creates content created content for Tempo Storm. She, won the ESL tournament, the ESL qualifier tournament, like Jim described, and she got partnered by Twitch. She got apparently there's some people that gave her a bunch of money for some reason. She was slated to be a streamer. She got partnered by Twitch without ever having even streamed, which is kind of weird. I've never actually heard of that happening, but she earned it. She put out the content and did all that stuff. And then out of basically nowhere, there was a Reddit post that said, basically, is Magic Amy real? And I was thinking about it. I'm like, when you read this post, you're like, that's a really good question, because I had never seen her. I mean, I didn't. You see her in the tournament, but she didn't stream. She declines this tournament, and it kind of makes you ask some questions. And someone, I don't remember who actually made the post, but they did some research and they came to a bunch of conclusions that were probably hasty. That it's possible that Magic Amy is actually fake, kind of, that someone else is playing for her, or that someone else is using her account, or it's a huge mess, basically.
Yeah. So I've done really my best to there's still, even at the end, as we try to simplify it for you, you have to understand that It's not figured out, and I don't think it's going to be figured out.
No.
But there's been enough noise about it that we wanted to try to break everything down for you. On the screen here, you see a picture of Hiram Lee. Okay, that is Magic Amy. She is the person that is registered for the tournaments, that the prize winnings were issued to, etc. Okay, she at one point lived in Canada. She now lives in South Korea, and when she lived in Canada, it was with Mr. William Blaney. Okay, now what's even weirder here is that you can see this is a picture of his Twitter account with his picture, his name, and then at MagicAmy65199. Okay, that account got removed, so this was a cached image somebody pulled up and found. But the accusation, as I understood it, was that she was actually just sitting in front of the camera and not playing her games, and there was another player actually like remotely controlling her computer, or actually doing the playing for her.
Right.
Okay, and I'd heard
that's the accusation. Yeah.
Right, and I'd heard that was Dary. Okay, so no substantiation to that whatsoever. Dary, when he went to BlizzCon, cited Magic Amy as one of his playtesting partners, and somebody that helped him quite a bit in preparing for the tournament. So before any of this came out, he kind of tied himself to the Magic Amy persona. And also there's a team full of Canadian players and Korean players called Team Magic Amy, and they've been that prior to this incident. Okay. William Blaney is the boyfriend she lived with in Canada, and as it turns out, when they lived together, they shared a Skype account, because it's probably pretty obnoxious to log out of Skype and then log into a different account.
Oh, yeah, that's not unreasonable at all.
No, seems totally legit, and like that probably happened. So at first it was, is Magic Amy controlled by this William Blaney? Is it, it was said that it was a Canadian player, then it was said that it was Dary. The best Canadian player is Silent Storm, who's going to get some more press time in this cast later. And so at the end of the day, it's this whole complicated equation involving Korea and Canada, and who exactly is controlling the mouse and the keyboard for this persona of Magic Amy, who it turns out is no much more than Manti Te'o's girlfriend. Okay, so if that's the simplification you take from it, then we've done our jobs and we can move on. But there's a lot of these screenshots out there, and I didn't want to post too many of them because they're not definitive proof by any stretch. But for example, let's say you're watching my stream, okay, and you see on the screen that there's an abusive sergeant that I am trying to decide who to pump. Okay, while that's going on, you look at my camera and I'm doing this. Okay, now who the hell is targeting this abusive sergeant, and how is my left mouse button still down? Doesn't make any sense. But there's time lapses, there's, is she, I don't know how they set up the stream. Is she Skyped into a computer that's then encoding the stream separately? It's a really complicated situation, and I don't know the timestamps on it, but it didn't stop Kriparian from posting a video about it and just calling it fact and saying that this was happening, and really kind of pouring fuel on the fire of this situation, and really helping to spread it, because he's one of the most popular YouTube channels that pertains to Hearthstone.
Hearthstone,
Yep. And also a very, very popular streamer. So he carries a lot of credibility, but he's also a little bit known to be into the drama aspect of things when they go down.
Openly into drama.
Right. So at the end of it, so at the end of day one, Tempo Storm, who sponsors Magic Amy, basically says, we're going to investigate this. We're not just going to, pull an Amaz and kick Ghosty off the team after 0.2 seconds because something looked like it might have been happening.
Right.
At first glance, and they wanted to investigate. John, do you want to talk a little bit about Reynad's response?
Yeah, so, and I'll be the first to say I hate to admit this, but so if you take a look at Reynad's response, you can probably just Google Reynad talks about, or YouTube, Reynad talks about Magic Amy. We might be able to put this on in the link of the YouTube description. I don't know how
Yeah,
I don't
look
know
down
how
there.
high.
I'll put a link to it.
We'll,
That's fine.
we'll probably put it in. And by we, I mean Jim. Uh, um, but basically, Raynad brought up a lot of good points in that, we basically, as a community, when I say we, I mean the Hearthstone community, basically went way deeper into this girl, whether this girl is real or not, or whether it's a fake a fake account or someone else is playing, is really not that much of our business. I mean, if she's scamming people out of money, it deserves an investigation. But the phony internet research with timestamps and all this baloney that people have been posting on Reddit is really just a huge invasion of privacy. And Raynad kind of more bluntly and in a much ruder way kind of calls Reddit and the Twitch Hearthstone community out for doing this. And honestly, I hate to admit this, but I agree with him. We as the community have really just over exaggerated everything. We've looked way too deep into it. Now, I mean, the jokes are funny. That Manti Te'o joke that Jim came up with was pretty on point. But at the end of the day, and Raynad put it pretty well. This girl who produced a lot of good content for Tempo Storm. Her meta snapshot articles, I checked them out whenever she posted them. They're pretty good, and they're pretty good, really good resource. And she did well at tournaments, and Raynad kind of pointed the finger and drew a lot of conclusions about why people do this, and he might have been misguided a little bit, but at the end of the day, he was pretty much right. It's girls on the internet, and people can't deal with it. Girls playing video games, people can't deal with it, and they blow things out of proportion. And it's actually kind of sad that it kind of happened. I mean, it was pretty, like, some of the stuff was really funny, but when you really come down and think about it, when you actually think about her as a person and not this like fake internet monster, it's really kind of sad how things turned out.
So some of the important takeaways from the situation, really, as far as I'm concerned, Hiram Lee is a real person that exists, and I have no reason to think she doesn't play Hearthstone avidly. Why would you sit through that much time to let somebody else play for you in tournaments for something you just don't care about? I think we all know girls that don't care about gaming or the games that we play, and how many of them would spend 5 minutes watching somebody else play it, let alone pretend like they are. So it doesn't seem that likely that there's as big of an elaborate scam as it initially looked like, or B, people tried to paint it to be. And really the best explanation of it I've heard is, and again, accounts from ex-boyfriends that, who gives a shit? We shouldn't be hearing anything about this. It's not my business. But from what it sounds like is she probably just likes to lie and, just maybe likes some attention a little bit. And there's nothing wrong with that. We're Twitch streamers, so clearly we're not, averse to attention.
Right. Yeah.
We're not shy about our intent of creating some sort of personality for ourselves within the community, and it's not a bad thing. So
if this is some sort of elaborate scheme to get Twitch viewers, and she comes out next week and has her stream, she'll definitely be probably the most popular streamer, at least off the bat. And continuing on, she would probably have the most more viewers than most people. Maybe like a Maz and Trump and Raynad would probably be above her. But if she came out with her stream tomorrow, she would have a large chunk of the Hearthstone viewers on her stream.
Yeah. But instead,
whether they're good or bad,
instead we've driven her out. She's quit the game, cut ties with Tempo Storm, and is gone. So
yeah, it's really sad that happened.
I mean, you can imagine how kind of traumatic the whole situation has been for her, whether she, in a worst case scenario, she is a pathological liar, has to do it all the time, for whatever reason, and still, at the end of the day, does not deserve the level of scrutiny that she's gotten.
No.
What I think is most likely is that She's open to the online only relationship that a lot of the exceptionally awkward members of our community like to partake in. And as the exceptionally awkward members of our community are wont to do, they gave her a bunch of money. And now they feel like morons about it. And guess what? At the end of the day, everybody can learn that when you just open your wallet and give money to girls on the internet, you are always going to look and feel like an idiot. Sure.
Yeah, pretty much.
So, I hope that did a fairly adequate job of explaining the Magic Amy situation to you guys, because it's awkward to talk about, think about, research, and hopefully we don't have to do that anymore.
Yeah, it's I really, without going too deep into this, I really hope that stuff like this doesn't keep happening, because it really holds back the gaming community at large, and more specifically the Hearthstone community. Like, it's not good. Raynad put it perfectly, and I will end on this, that he had never felt embarrassed before this week to be a Hearthstone player. And I feel the same way.
Yeah, it's not like right now. It's not the time to just go to the mall and tell people that you just got Legendary and Hearthstone Blevins. It's.
I mean, I still did.
Yeah, I would too. I did when I got there. The other thing that works when picking up ladies is letting them know what level your World of Warcraft characters are, and maybe how many max level guys you've got. That also works a good charm. So. Let's talk a little more about this Legendary Series ESL tournament. Now, while it was a 2-day tournament over the course of this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, I didn't see anything on Friday. I don't know if there was anything, but I don't think so.
I'm not sure.
So as we go through day one of the tournament, a couple things happened, and the big kind of headline thing that happened in the first day of the tournament was Silent Storm, who was the eventual winner of the tournament.
Spoiler alert.
Yep. 3-0'd Savitz, and did it in convincing fashion. And his third game was with an awesome deck that we're going to talk about in depth in a little while. And Savitz, huge tournament, huge pressure, cried like a little girl and walked off the stage. Like he just turned into a complete wuss and stormed off, refusing to shake his opponent's hand, and just the whole thing was just right on camera. Like, this was a big tournament with a big live event coverage, team involved, Frodan, Raynad, for the life of me I cannot remember
the other guy.
The other guy who, as much as I didn't enjoy Raynad's commentary, as much as I love his stream, I did not find him to be a good commentator. And as much as I thought him being on the stage with his friend Frodan dragged Frodan down, he was the worst one, that third guy. So, not knowing his name, I don't know. He was just awkward. I don't know.
He just seems a little awkward on camera. Every time they show him, he just looks like he's like really nervous. He's just like got that like fake smile, and like, I don't know. But I mean, I can't really talk. People get nervous in situations like that. ESL is a pretty big thing. They have a real camera crew. It's basically like a television production. They're in their studio, and that sort of stuff. The pressure's on. And
he seemed well spoken. I don't know.
He just seemed a little awkward and nervous, which I think is fine.
And it's just, he seemed like he was trying to participate in the jokes of Raynad and Frodan, who you can imagine both being Tempo Storm affiliated, got to hang out and talk to each other quite a bit, so they've kind of got to have
got more for sure.
Yeah, they've got more of an established rapport with each other. But he seemed well spoken, and I haven't seen him before, so I'm definitely open to hearing more from him.
I think he'll definitely improve over time.
Yeah. So, anyways, right after the tournament, in Savitz's defense, he did not duck it. He apologized outright. Responded to some tweets I would have ignored. Like, just, at Liquid Savitz, how old are you? And
wait, did you send that, Jim?
No, I did not. I would totally have put a picture of the tweet up just to get my Twitter handle out there for a second time on the screen. But you know, he's just like old enough to apologize.
Yeah.
Huge tournament, high stakes, and really disappointed. I had to get out of there ASAP. You know, kind of like that. I didn't want to do something I was going to regret. And I don't know what the hell that means. Like, I don't know. At the end of the day, we talked about this a little last week. Me and John both come from a sports world where you line up with your teammates and you go face the other team and you shake their hands and you tell them well played and good game.
Yeah. Yep.
And there's nothing to it. Why is it a thing?
Yeah, I think a lot of it, you know, from a very young age, you know, playing t-ball, you do that, and it's just a no-brainer for guys like us and a lot of other people that have played sports from a young age. You know, after the game, win or lose, you line up and you say good game, or you know, you shake hands and say good game. You know, no one is trying to lie to you and say that you have to mean it. That's not the case. You don't need to mean it. You just go. It's a gesture of good sportsmanship.
It's a show of respect. You can be.
It's a show of respect for the player and the game.
Yep. You can be pissed off and still do it. And
even if you don't, you know, both you and I have been in situations in Magic where, you know, we lose a heartbreaker and it's a big match. You know, at a Grand Prix or something like that, you lose, and you know. If you're not happy about it, if you're mad about it, if you know, it doesn't matter what happened. You know, you suck it up. You shake the hand and then you get out of there. You know, if Savitz, he could have done the same exact thing he did. He just goes up, shakes his opponent's hand, and you know, walks away, collects himself or whatever. You know, and he looks much better. That's the mark of a true, you know, consummate professional. You know. In this sort of esports and in sports in general, you know, you just look terrible. I remember a few years ago, I think it was LeBron. No, it might have been Dwight Howard, who wasn't shaking hands after the games or something. You know, he just looks like, you know, an idiot basically. You know, have some respect for the people you're playing against. You're at a huge tournament. You know, they earned their right to be there. You know, have some respect for the people you're playing against. Have some respect for the game. You know, just suck it up. Who cares if you mean it or not? That's not the point at all. It just really, you know, having talked to a number of people in Magic, that I think that the consensus is actually opposite to us. In Magic, people think, you know, after you win, don't offer the handshake. I think that's bogus. After the game, handshake. It doesn't matter, win or lose. People think you come off as kind of arrogant when you do. I don't think. I mean, there are ways that you can do it where you come off arrogant, but I think you extend the hand. You know, you say good game. Whether it was a good game or not is irrelevant, and you go. You know, you go your separate ways afterwards. That's all there is to it.
Yeah, and I think this is kind of an issue that comes up more often in Magic and Hearthstone and these esports universes, just simply because there's not near as high a percentage of former sports players that are used to that, and it was ingrained in them. I mean, we were literally 6 and 7 years old when we were when they first started telling us and never let us get away with anything else. Then it's what you do. Shut up, you know. And at the end of a game, and when you're face to face with somebody, you can look sorry. You can express to them with your face muscles, "Hey, I know I just got super lucky. You know, I'm sorry. It doesn't mean you didn't play well, man. Like, good game, man. You know, just
I think you say good game, handshake. You don't need to say anything, honestly.
Yeah.
I actually, from a personal standpoint, when someone like top decks or something against me, and I'll always extend the handshake. Even if I lose, I'll extend it first, even. And they'll be like, sorry about that. And I go, no, it's okay. It happens. Like that's the end of it. Like,
all you did was pick up the card. Why would I be mad at you?
I understand how variance, how it works in these games, all this stuff. I understand, so I can't get mad. And one last quick anecdote about handshaking. My senior year of high school, we're in the sectional finals against our rival team in basketball from literally since we were in 5th grade, we've been playing against these same guys. So they've been rivals for almost 10 years with us, and we lose by 1 point in the last second of the sectional finals, and we all lined up in handshake. I mean, some of the guys were in tears, literally in tears, because it was the last game they ever played. But at the end of the day, you line up, you handshake, even in a situation like that. That's years and years in the making. And if there's something to get salty about, that I can't imagine something you'd get saltier about than that.
Right.
But,
and before we go any farther, we're about to get back into the tournament here a little bit. I just want to let you guys know we're going to be giving away a free classic Hearthstone pack, okay, before the end of the show. So, at least around 8 o'clock or maybe a little after when we would hit the normal Q&A segment. We're going to randomize from the list of Twitch viewers. That's how we're going to give it away this week. If you're on YouTube, don't be too upset. We're going to find ways to let you guys get a chance to get some free packs. I've got multiple codes to give away. We're going to do one a week. So this week it's going to be a random live viewer, and we'll give you your code in private message on Twitch after the show. But next week it's going to be, retweet the link to the show. And, we'll look at that. It has to be a retweet because we have to get the notification in order for you to be entered. And then we'll randomize it off the air and announce the winner at the top of the next show after that. So we won't actually be giving one away next week, but, we'll be probably physically giving away 2 codes or announcing the next thing you can do that week as well. So it's going to be a regular thing. Please, if you're enjoying the content and you like free stuff, we do have some codes to give away. So,
and if you have anything that you want to donate to the show for us to give away, to give some press for us, give some press for you. You never know who's listening, Jim. Maybe. Yeah. We will certainly be willing to give it away on the show.
Yeah, if the president of Alienware is listening in, and John's talking about building a new computer anyways, so you could just... That's true. You could just send him one, and then that would be sweet.
Also, if the president of Alienware is listening, we've got some open space up here that we could easily fill with sponsors. But we're getting a little ahead of ourselves.
Since he's not here, let's talk about this guy. We've got Silent Storm here, who won the tournament. He went, pretty convincing fashion, took down this tournament, and hilariously enough, now the format for this tournament was different. There was 3 blind pick matches, okay? You brought 3 classes to this tournament, and you chose what order you were going to play them in before you knew anything about the order your opponent was going to play them in. So you knew their lineup, okay, what classes they brought, and then you had to pick the order for your first 3.
Yeah.
Let's see. So it was best of 5, and you had to win 3 games in order to do this. And after that, now, John, you might have to help me kind of piece this together a little bit, because I know that there's blind picks. Now, after game 3, are they then choosing what deck they'll play?
I believe so. So I think you if we're wrong about this, people can let us know in the comments. I think you pre-pick the first 3, and then it goes into blind pick phase where both players pick a new deck, but they don't know what the other person's picking.
Mm-hmm. So even if you lost with it already, you can pick it again?
Yeah, I don't think there's deck eliminations in this at all.
No. Yeah. So, you're obviously forced to, in the first 3, to play each of your decks. You can't double up in the first 3 games. So Silent Storm brought this lineup. I have it here. Just give me 1 second, and I will get it out for us. His lineup was Shaman, Druid, Warlock. He didn't seem to care too much about his Shaman or his Druid decks, because I don't think at any point during this weekend did he elect to play either of those decks in Game 4 or Games 5.
Yeah.
In every single one of those games, he brought this guy. Okay. Demon Lock Tech 3.0, 5,000. I don't know, whatever you want to call it. Really original, really fun, really cool deck that nobody saw coming. I don't think anybody was prepared for it.
No, not at all.
As a warning, this might not actually be the deck. Okay, it could have been a few cards different. This was,
Right.
you know, the Hearthstone. They always try to pull the deck, watching the tournament to piece everything together.
Right.
And this is the best that we were able to come up with prior to the show. I haven't seen any official announcement from him or tweet from him with "here's my list." But this does more than an adequate job of proving the point of what he was doing. And me and John have both played with this deck, and we think, well, it might not be right for ladder. He didn't bring it to ladder. He brought it to a tournament.
Right.
Yeah. So John, though, has more experience with the deck, so why don't you talk a little bit about its core strategy?
I have played it a decent amount on the Legend ladder, and it's been doing all right. I am still not completely efficient with it. I don't know the mulligan choices and all that necessarily, but I've had some pretty good success with it. It kind of works a little bit like if you took a handlock deck and fused it with a zoo deck and then added a sprinkle of demon on it. That's kind of what this deck ends up being. A lot of it is it's a board control deck. I would definitely consider it a control deck. The abusive sergeants and the power overwhelmings allow you to get some pretty good value off your haunted creepers and Nerubian eggs. As well as the Hellfire and the Shadow Flame. You get a lot of value off that early stuff with the Nerubian eggs. It really creates an awkward situation for your opponent if they're relying on sweepers, because you can have a relatively aggressive board presence and they can't really use a sweeper effectively because you're going to have you're going to have minions remaining afterwards. It is surprisingly hard to play against Voidcaller without a silence, because you really don't know what could be underneath the Voidcaller. And if you don't have an answer to Mal'Ganis in your hand and they drop a Mal'Ganis, well, you probably just lose. It's really not hard to win when you have a free Mal'Ganis in play, especially considering that you can get subsequent demons off Voidcallers, Voidwalker is in the deck. The imp tokens from Implosion are demons, so they're all of a sudden 3/3s. And also tapping doesn't lose you life, so that's pretty good. And they just can't kill you if they can't kill Mal'Ganis. I don't remember, how did I get the card in my hand? I had the 4/4 rogue card that gives a guy stealth. I don't remember. I can't for the life of me remember how I got it. But I gave my Mal'Ganis. Oh no, it was a spare part. I gave Mal'Ganis stealth for a turn, and they were just like,
Okay.
well, I guess I'm taking everything then. Yeah. So, and the MVP card here, and it was shown on the stream, and it's definitely come out for me too, is the Mistress of Pain. That card is a house and a half. Whether it's just making your life taps only cost you 1 life, whether it's being able to eat all the X1s in the world. I don't know if his list has. We couldn't really tell whether his actual list had the demon heart in it or not, but I definitely threw the demon heart in there.
His original list did not, at least.
Okay.
I saw him play it late, and I remember the commentators were saying, have we seen Demon Heart from him yet? No, we haven't, but most Demon Lock decks do play it because it's so good with Mistress, and it really is.
It is insane with Mistress. There's just you trade your board off. You usually have a pretty good board afterwards, and your opponent usually isn't threatened by the Mistress of Pain, and then you give it +5/+5 forever against the Mech Mage deck, and you gain 5 life every turn, and anyone who's ever had a Loxodon Warhammer on anything knows that you really can't beat that card. Armadillo Cloak all over again. It just serves so many roles. I originally thought this deck would be kind of soft aggro, but there are a lot of early game minions and cheap removal to kind of keep the board clear, and then you just have insane insane minions that just trade up, give you stuff when they die, and sometimes just randomly put 9/7s that make you indestructible into play. So overall, really solid board control deck that I've had a lot of fun and a lot of success playing with.
Yeah, something I tested I want to pass along if you're thinking about building it or trying it or anything, or you're wondering how to play against it, because now that it's been out there, you've seen it on the ladder a little bit. I did go out of my way to test what happens if I power overwhelming or abusive sergeant my Mistress of Pain, okay, and then Shadow Flame it. I wanted to see if it would be that awesome and give me all that life. It does not. But that is still kind of what the deck ends up doing, is like John said, oh, I pick off your 1/1, I pick off your 1/1, I give it +6, +4 and attack your guy, and then I don't care that it's dead. It gained me, you know, how much life, killed 3 of your guys, and ends up, from what looks on the surface like a very underwhelming card in this game in particular, it would probably look a whole lot nicer in a Magic setting or something like that. But not an effect or not a card I thought would see a whole lot of play, but the Demon Lock deck does hurt for demons a little bit, playable ones that interact with its spells especially. Also, it gets Defender of Argus pretty well too.
Yeah. Defender also a pretty key card in the deck.
Yeah. So on the surface, from what it looks like to me, it looks like you're probably a pretty big dog to warrior.
Probably.
Nerubian eggs are certainly nice, but your mortal coils are dead. Your abusive sergeants probably aren't going to get you the value you're thinking that they might. You still have the opportunity to get some good plays. You know, if you could abusive sergeant a mistress to kill an acolyte and restrict it to 1 card, you're probably in a pretty good spot. But it's mostly the warrior's whole mission in life is to maximize his acolytes. So I would think that's probably a weaker matchup, not one I've played personally.
Yeah, I actually did play it today, and the main problem is that you can't really put enough pressure on their armor total to really make them worry about anything. They kind of, I think when I had the board even a little bit stabilized, they had like 20-something armor and a bunch of executes and shield slams in their hand that could answer all of my threats. So the deck is a little bit threat light, with only having the Mal'Ganis, the Dr. Boom. Everything else you kind of just have to deal with smaller minions, which Warrior is pretty good against. The Whirlwind really kind of negates your implosions, and the Death Spite also kind of really limit the power of your implosions, which is what you really need.
Yeah, to me the kicker here is that there's no Siphon Souls, and you play 1 BGH, and after that, how the hell do you kill anything Warrior plays? You can't even deal with Shield Maiden.
No, that is a big issue. You need to basically have a guy that's bigger than theirs, or a bunch of little guys that can trade into them. But at that point, that's their bread and butter. They just they get you.
Yeah, 1 Deathbite seems to take out the first 6 turns of the Warlock deck strategy. Yeah. So otherwise, watching the tournament, I noticed it seemed a little vulnerable to Shaman. And we did see a really nice Shaman deck list out there that we might talk about a little bit later, but as the shows kind of run on a little bit, we might not have enough time to delve into it, so maybe we will talk about it next week and try to make a habit of bringing wherever it comes from some new deck that's kind of new, like this one here, to talk about for you every week, because the metagame in Hearthstone, unlike any card game I've seen, shifts dramatically without anything being done. So hopefully we can do that and keep some fresh content out there. Otherwise, me and John will just take whatever our main deck is and kind of demo it a little bit for you or whatever.
Right. And if you guys have any suggestions for decks or decks that you specifically want to see, or even maybe classes you want to see, feel free to let us know on the Twitter pages, the Facebook page, or you can even email us, and we will put pretty much anything you suggest into the cast.
Yeah, and I'm going to do this first try. I'm just going to point, bam, right there. That's our Twitter. And if John does it correctly the first time.
No, wait. No. I don't remember which one it is.
Yep, you're
okay,
right.
I got it.
I got it with both of them. All right, so the email's over there on the left side. And
So mad.
yeah,
There we go.
so bad at this.
There we go.
So our email's right there, and above our heads. Oh, did it again. I did it now. Above our heads, you can find our individual Twitters. The Blevins on Twitch is not such an active place right now, but that's going to be changing very soon. And my stream every Monday, so feel free to stop by. I'll play the deck on the spot for you, and if you want to see it in the show, all you have to do is convince me that it's good.
Or challenge him, crush him, and then he'll have to believe it's good.
The best way to convince me, because I'm so stubborn, it's not even funny.
I bet you used to think Implosion wasn't that great of a card. Then I hit 4 3 times in a row.
Well, you're a scumbag, but as soon as I saw it, I thought it had like zoo potential, so that was a card I was relatively okay with. I want a way to get some spell power going in some Warlock.
I've done it, and it feels as good as you think it does.
Right? It has to. All right, so moving on from the ESL Legendary Series tournament, we want to start to talk about some of these tracking programs that are out there. Some ways that you can boost your ladder production and your ladder progress through these external programs that provide you with information. Conveniently enough, these are the biggest two. John is a big fan of Hearth Stats. I'm not a big fan. I don't really care that much about it. But
yeah, I mean, I'm not. Yeah.
But I'm big on Hearthstone Deck Tracker, so we're kind of uniquely suited here to give you a little bit of the inside benefits from somebody that likes the program. So, John, why don't you start and talk about Hearth Stats for us?
Yeah, so I used to use some other tracker that I don't think it's either of these, and I don't want to defame them, and I don't remember what the name is anyway. So, and it was automated. It was an automated deck tracker, and it would keep track of a bunch of different stats. It was kind of wonky. It was it was pretty glitchy. A lot of times it would record wins as losses and losses as wins, and that ultimately was what put me on tilt and made me uninstall the program. I was on a losing streak, and it kept popping up that I won, so I had to physically change the win to a loss in the thing. So I would lose, it would be like, congratulations, you won, and then I would have to be like, no, actually I lost, and it just made me really mad.
You lost twice.
Yeah, and it was also awkward because it was a separate program, so I would have to launch that and Hearthstone at the same time. So, and it's, it sounds really bad when I'm too lazy to just open up another program. But it still, sometimes you forget, and then it's like, oh well, I'm missing this information now, so it kind of stinks. But her stats is in browser, at least the way I use it. I'm pretty sure you can download a secondary program that can track everything like the other program does, but I don't use it. I actually like hand inputting everything for her stats, and honestly, this I'm not going to say a lot, but I owe some of my laddering success this season to her stats, because it really keeps you focused and keeps you objective with how you're doing and how good or bad you're doing. I think that a lot of people over-exaggerate things when they're talking about ladder, and people tell me all the time, like, oh, I have a 70% win rate with this, and I've played like, at least 15 games. Well, maybe there's a difference between having a 70% win rate and playing 15 games and having like a 50-something% win rate and only having played 6 games, which I think people easily could over-exaggerate to that. So her stats, I mean, my philosophy for a lot of these things is that the numbers can't lie. Numbers don't lie. It's not possible for them to lie. I have concrete proof. I played 83 games and I had a 71% win rate with Hunter. So when people are saying, "Oh, it's so bad for ladder," how can you get legend with that? Although I don't think people are saying that, but people are like, "Oh, that deck's so bad." It's like, well, I've played 83 games and I have a 71% win rate, so I don't know what to tell you. The numbers don't lie. Scoreboard basically is what it breaks down to. Like I said, I haven't actually used the automated program, though I am assuming that it's pretty good, because her stats everything about them has been pretty quality. I know that they have a paid version that they're setting up. I haven't really looked into that at all, but I'm sure it would be fine. The one thing that I don't like about tracker programs, not specifically her stats, but tracker programs in general, is that if I am not near my computer and I'm playing on, say, my iPad, I either have to disregard these matches for my stats, or I need to write them down and then input them later, which is really kind of clunky. And you feel guilty when you don't do it. I mean, I talked a little bit last time about psychological effects of certain things when playing, and it doesn't affect your in-game at all, but it does give you, if I don't record a game, I'll be like, oh, I missed that game, I feel bad for not having tracked that game. So it's a minor downside, is that if you're not near your computer, you have to keep track of everything. And honestly, there may or may not be an iPad app as well for her stats. I'm not sure. And I'm sure that they might be looking into it if it's possible. So,
yeah, if they're doing a paid version, I'm sure they are.
That's her stats for me. Been extremely useful in my progress.
So the other program John was talking about, I have no problem shaming anybody, was called Hearthstone Tracker.
Yeah.
I used it as well. And the missed logging of games was maddening, because you really did feel like you lost twice when you had to change it. It was the worst. So, anyways, Hearthstone Deck Tracker does a lot of the things Hearthstats does. What it doesn't do is those things as pretty. Hearthstats has just a nicer interface. The compilation of stats up on the web is great and accessible and very worthwhile to look at, even if you don't particularly use the program yourself. Yeah. So they found a way to benefit the community without you even having to sign up, which I'm a big fan of that, and thank you to them for that.
Yep.
Hearthstone Deck Tracker, though, physically makes you better in the game. You're just better at Hearthstone because you're running the program. It tracks everything going on about the game as it happens, okay? Whenever your opponent draws a card, there's a little number attached to it, okay? That's what turn they drew it on. If it's in their opening hand, it says it has a 0, so you know that was in their opening hand. If they mulliganed into that card, it has an M on it. If a spare part gets added to their hand, or a dream card from a Sarah gets added to their hand, it has an S on it, so you know these aren't cards from their deck. It helps you figure out exactly what's going on. It serves as a lot. It basically serves every function that a pen and paper could possibly help you. Okay.
True.
So it's just really a phenomenal tool while in the game. I currently don't use it anymore, and here's why. I'm not laddering a ton, and if laddering and hitting legendary every month was 100% my goal, I would absolutely use it, because I think it's foolish not to. I'm not going to fault anybody for not. If it feels like an unfair advantage to you and you don't think you should be using it, don't. It's a glorified notepad. That's way smarter than I am, and way better at keeping track of things. So if you think of it like that, I don't think you'll have any issue using it yourself. But if you're getting ready to go to tournaments, you can't use it. And it is super convenient and super nice to have. So you will start to get lazy in counting cards and remembering what they've played, remembering what's left in your deck, because on the left side of your screen, okay, you see a running list of everything your opponent has played so far. So you're playing against Paladin. Oh, look, they're out of Consecrates. I guess I can flood the board with these two toughness guys. And also at the beginning of the game, has your entire deck list on the right. You can set it up to keep that deck list there the whole time, or you can set it up like I did to, as you draw a card, highlight it. And then when you play it, remove it. So it will literally only show you, the way I have it set up, what's left in your deck that you can draw from this turn. And gives you a percentage. You know, you're 20% likely to see a card if you have 2 of it. You're, and then this percentage likely if you have 1 of it.
Yeah.
So the amount of information that is at your fingertips with this program is astronomical, on top of tracking your game progress, your overall win percentages. We think, and did not verify because we're lazy, that it uploads the Hearth stats for you. So now you're using both of these programs and you're getting all the information just constantly streaming through the internet into your eyeballs until they bleed. That's what the internet's for. So as you can see a little bit on the screen, there's a little bit of the interface. It's kind of tedious. You have to build your deck a second time, and every time you change a card, you have to change it a second time, because in order for the program to work properly, it has to know what's in your deck. It'll still try to function otherwise, but anyways, just if you're going to use it, just update it. It's not so bad unless you're building a new deck from scratch. Just want to quickly expand on something John was talking about, and that was the people making their claims on ladder. You know, I have a 70% win rate with this. We were doing that last week. Doesn't mean you're lying. But when you come at somebody and you say, I have a 70% win rate with this deck, and you've played 15 games, you have to know that you don't really have a 70% win rate with that deck.
Right.
Like 15
sample
games.
Sample size matters.
Yeah, it's an incredibly small sample size. Back when Backspace Rogue was a thing, I had a 75% win rate with that deck over 250 games. That is a sample size. That tells you this is, and once I started to track it and look at the numbers, I go, all right, I'm done lying to myself and pretending like I should be playing something else. I'm done trying to make Shaman work. I win when I play this deck. I don't when I don't. So that's what I'm going to do, is I'm going to play it. So yeah, I personally don't have as much of a problem with like not inputting a game, or if I forget to run the program. I'm superstitious. I think if I run the program, I lose more. Maybe that's just how I sleep at night when I look at my win rate and I'm like, oh, 53%. Like, I did horrible today. It's like, oh, you didn't run the program for a while. You really won 58%. Really, I won like 42. But I get to sleep at night better when I lie to myself. So there's that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's my initial impressions of the deck tracker is, like you said, if you're trying to play in tournaments, it can be a crutch because you get lazy. But if you're just trying to ladder and you're trying to get better, I think it can be a very useful tool. And like most other things in life, it's not the tool's fault that you got worse. It's yours. Use it correctly.
Yes. Nothing to add to that. That was a brilliant close. Okay. So now something we touched on a little bit at the end of, or I'm sorry, during the after show last week. And if you're watching on YouTube, watch on my Twitch channel, okay? Right up there. Second one up. Go there and watch us 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Wednesday. And we do an after show afterwards. We keep going. Today we're going to play some games. Last week we just hung out and talked for a while. Really, we can do whatever we want. We can swear a little more than we do now. We can tell.
Yeah, you have one in the tip jar for now, too, Jim.
What did I say?
Today.
You have to tell me later what I said. Yeah, I know you can't say it because then you got to pay. So, my apologies, gosh darn it. And can't even find my tip jar to add to it. But we'll find that during the after show. Don't let me forget. It's going to make for a sweet giveaway someday, and we'll probably just get lazy and give away cash. But we want to talk about net decking a little bit, and you know, there's this negative connotation to it. People, oh, net decking scumbag, like that's just the rain ad deck. You're not doing well. Me and John have a little bit of a different take on it, as you can see from Willy Wonka right there.
Condescending Wonka. That's probably my favorite meme as well, too. But yeah, it all started back in the day when Magic was just a small thing. It wasn't this Star City Opens every weekend. It was, there was Grand Prix and stuff. But I used to play at a little shop in Batavia. And I would, everyone would play the decks that they made themselves because, I was young and the other people didn't really use the internet. So, you come with your homebrew deck. We played like casual vintage. And then all of a sudden, my eyes were open to the beauteous thing that is StarCityGames.com. And all of a sudden, I saw a deck list that won Grand Prix. And I'm like, oh, I should build these. So while these people are playing these awful, awful decks, I'm playing Ravager Affinity and crushing people with Skull Clamp because it's legal in Vintage. And I won literally every tournament that they ran for 3 years. I won every single one for 3 years, and I don't regret it at all. But in a more serious note, deck building is not everyone's forte. Me specifically, I'm not a deck builder, and I don't really get a lot of pleasure out of building decks. I know a lot of people do, but that's just not what I do. I'm not a deck builder. I'm much more of a deck tweaker, and I love playing the game. I don't really get I get my deck building thirst quenched in limited. I would much rather build a good limited deck than build a good constructed deck, because I know there are a lot of people that build constructed decks better than me, and a lot of times it's very frustrating if you build a new deck and you've got a cool idea and then it ends up being bad. It's like, oh well, that was a waste of time. I should have just let other people like mine the data to see which deck is efficient, and then I play that, and if I have like a cool little twist to put on it, that gives me the same pleasure as having built a full deck myself. But that's really kind of my take on it.
Yeah, and that's, I think, definitely a valid one. Mine's a little different because I am somebody that loves to net deck. Like I do. I see something, I'm like, oh, I did not think of that deck concept. So I start playing it. But, I tend to have a different play style than most people. I'll play the most aggro deck in the world, and as you've coached me a little bit in Hunter recently, you can vouch for this. It can be Face Hunter, it can be anything. My instinct is, why wouldn't my 2/1 kill their 2/2? His is better. Like, that's called an advantage, Blevins. And that's how my brain works. So
yeah.
I get stuck in these preconceived notions of how classes should work in Hearthstone, and somebody like Silent Storm has to come and shatter it so that way I can see things that I didn't see before. I'm also a huge fan of brewing. When I net deck, I'm going to tweak something like John said. I'm going to put that Jim Reed flair on it. I'm going to make it just that little bit different to suit my play style, to make me more successful with it. And like John said, that has a lot of the same appeal of having built the deck. Like, oh, you didn't see that Miser's card that I put in there coming? You thought you knew what I was playing, card for card? Well, I guess you're wrong. There's a satisfaction to that. But I also like doing
Kazan Mystic. Come on.
I'm also that deck brewer, though. I love to try something that I haven't done before, that nobody's done before, and I like to try to build it from scratch. I did it. I think I might have played Trading Post in every single week that it was legal in Magic at FNM. Every single week. It's what I like to do. I like to play, the fun interactions more than I like to play just the burn spells and the I went face and killed you real quick. It's not satisfying to me. So I'm a big fan of both ends of the spectrum, but I've got to say net decking is the best thing humanly possible that could have ever happened to the brewer. I know what everybody's playing. I know what the ladder is. I can go on her stats and I can look, and 80% of the time I'm going to play against this deck. Oh, and there's only ever 2 cards different from this base list that Rainad streamed with 3 days ago, so now I know what I have to beat, and I just get to go build to beat that. It's called metagaming. It's you're leveling your opponent before you even know who your opponent is, and it's a whole other aspect to the deck creation, and I really think it's beneficial to, I don't know why anybody's complaining about it. At the end of the day, you shouldn't care. No. It doesn't change a thing. The game is the game. Playing something bad, when I brew, I'm saying, hey, people on ladder, come kick my teeth in, please. I'm playing something bad. That's what I think when I do it, and I still just have fun with it, so I do it anyways and hope I'm wrong. So yeah, anyways, I don't understand why people are hung up about it. It's such an advantage and a boost to the brewer, and it's such an advantage and a boost to the non-brewer because they get to know what's optimal, what's performed well, what's already done it, and you just don't have to worry about it.
Right.
So anyways, we will move on here as we've already talked about that a little bit, but it was a good topic and a good conversation, so we wanted to try to squeeze a little bit of it into the regular show for you YouTubers. We only have one more thing we want to talk about, and it's going to be maybe not a weekly segment or a weekly thing that we do, but
maybe we can end the cast with this. Usually, maybe this will be a nice thing to end the cast with.
Yeah, we'll always end with it, and it's just going to be a way to kind of help the community a little bit. And our goal when we came up with it, by the way, it failed already before we ever even did it. Our goal when we did it was to help out those non-sponsored streamers, to get that push, to get just a few more viewers, to just get a little bit more exposure. And obviously we know we're not big right now, so the bump isn't too real that we're sending out there, but nonetheless, it's an acknowledgement to them. It lets them know they have fans out there and people that want to see them succeed. So we decided on, what was it, Friday, who we were gonna spotlight.
Well, yeah, when we talked about it, I already had someone in mind because I had been watching them a decent amount for actually, geez, like 2 or 3 weeks now. Maybe not 3, but like at least 2 weeks. Yeah.
Well, and you're the one that watches her, but no, she got sponsored about a day after we decided.
Right after we decided it,
to spotlight her. So she's already got that subscribe button, and if you guys want to go spend $5 to watch a good stream and get some bonuses, if you've never subscribed to a channel, it is an experience. It's an interesting experience. I've never kept a subscription running for a long period of time, but I've seen some streamers that I've wanted to support and show them that we care and like their content. As a streamer, I know how much it means when people hit that follow button, and it's just the greatest feeling in the world. So twitch.tv/Mackenzie's it's a little awkward to say, but it's also pretty clever. So John, why don't you talk to us about her play style, what she does, and what she's got going on?
So I first saw her because she was hosted by Brian Kibler, of all people. And he hosted her, and I'm like, you know what? I trust Kibler. I'm going to go watch her stream. And now a lot of people have this preconceived notion, and, myself included, at least to an extent, that a lot of girls on her a lot of girls will just stream and they'll have the camera angle up real high. They'll wear a low cut shirt and they won't really add anything. They'll just kind of be there, look pretty, and hope people donate to them. A lot of people,
to be clear, we like that too.
And some people do that and they get they get what they want. And I don't really have too much of a knock on that, but Mackenzie's, first off, she started the stream for a really good cause. She has epilepsy, and that's kind of where her name comes from, because she has seizures. It's a thing that affects her life and a really really impacts her life. So she started to build awareness for epilepsy, and honestly it's worked, because I didn't really know the extent to which epilepsy affected people until I saw her stream. And she's also going to have a True Life, MTV True Life I Have Epilepsy episode about her. I don't know how much they're going to mention the stream or whatever, but that's a really good reason to start a stream, and she streams every day. And her play skill is not bad. She's not Strife Crow or but she even since I started watching her a couple weeks ago, she's been getting a lot better. And I really feel for her, because she had the same struggle that I did with the end boss last season. She got to rank 1 5 stars and then just lost out and could never get back and get legendary. So I don't know where she is now. I actually haven't had the chance to watch her in a couple days. But she was in, rank. The picture right now shows that she's at rank 3. I know she was, in between 5 and 2 for the last couple days. So I really hope she gets it. She is entertaining. She streams. You can see her schedule on there. She streams every day, except for Sundays.
That's an insane schedule, by the way.
It is
I'm exhausted looking at it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there are a lot of things that she can't do because of her epilepsy. So she has made it her basically her job to stream, and she's done a really, really good job of it. And there actually is, if you go on her channel, you can find a YouTube video of her literally having a seizure on stream while she's streaming. She had a seizure while she was streaming. But yeah, she's she's really nice. She interacts with the chat a lot. But I kind of wanted to, when I first started watching her, it was like maybe a 20 to 40 person stream, and like you said, she got partnered at some point last week. So she's been growing a lot, and she's now at like the 100 to 150 range. So for reference, she probably wouldn't be a candidate for our streamer spotlight in the future because she's a little bit bigger and already has the Twitch sponsorship. But when we picked her, she was kind of a much more of a candidate that we're looking for. But yeah, check her stream out. If you get the chance, tell her that we sent her. I'm going to send her the link to the YouTube video so she can check it out, check us out. But yeah, really quality stream, and you guys should check her out.
Yeah, so like we said, in the future, it'll mostly be people that aren't partnered. Many of you are probably in our Twitch chat now. We will definitely, look to our friends on Twitch as well and help you guys hopefully get some exposure down the line once we have a little more ourselves. But as John said, this is somebody he's been watching since, there was 20 viewers in her channel on the regular, and somebody he's, been a fan of for a while and wanted to do whatever he can to give her a boost. So now that we have a vehicle to help some people out, we do want to try to do that. And thank you to Mackenzie for the good content and the good streams and those absurd hours. I haven't seen you much.
It's insane. I don't think I've seen anyone besides maybe Amaz and like Crip. Crip is insane, but if you don't count like them, I don't think anyone else has a schedule like this. I was actually
it's got to be a big reason for her success too.
Oh, absolutely. I was looking at some stats for like most streamed content, and I think it was like most number of hours streaming Hearthstone. I think it was Amaz, someone who I actually had never seen before. I think he's an arena streamer. Crip, maybe someone else, and then her. But she was in the top 5 for most hours streamed of Hearthstone for one of the months, which is insane. And this was before she had her subscriber button, so she was basically doing this for free, basically. Which, I mean, a lot of people don't. Seven says that she's on now, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah, she will be for every podcast. So feel free to just ignore that. Like, that's not there.
Yeah, ignore her on Wednesdays. She doesn't stream on Wednesdays. No,
it's not a thing. But please do check it out. Just not today.
Yeah. All right. That was the other thing. One last thing. If you guys have a streamer that fits this kind of criteria that you watch, please let us know. I did a brief search the one day, and it is not easy to find good streamers that aren't already that speak English, because as much as I want to support the international Hearthstone community, I don't particularly want to watch Russian and Spanish streams. That's just me. I don't gain that much entertainment value from watching streams I can't understand, which kind of sounds bad, but it's true. So if you have someone who is English or who speaks English and is a good streamer and fits this criteria of not being subscribed, please ship us the link to their channel, and I'll check them out.
Yeah. All right, John, so we about ready to give away this pack here?
I think that we are ready to give the pack away.
Twitch viewers, if you do have any questions for us, please do put them in chat now, and we will make sure we get them answered either while we get the giveaway ready or while we head into the after show, or hopefully before we close out. But yeah, as we are getting towards the end of the show, I do want to take a minute to thank the live viewers and, you know, the YouTube viewers alike. It means a ton to us. I was incredibly surprised and delighted at the response that we had.
Yeah. Yep.
It was great.
Yes, thank you guys so much.
Yeah, it was a lot of positive feedback, a lot more just views and traffic to the video than I thought we'd see, things like that. And the live turnout for the first show that we really didn't advertise in advance was really impressive as well. So thank you guys for the support and the appreciation. It means the world to us. I've seen we got a couple of streamer suggestions out there. I appreciate, Sevens, that you put me on that list. I'll probably not plug myself. Maybe John can sneak it in there one day when, I don't know, the show's on his channel and I'm not there that day or something.
Yeah.
The best way how to learn to draft arena well is a question came in from Labuddhism, I believe it is, and we really appreciate the question.
La buddy.
And thank you for stopping by. I have a Buddha right here. I will show it to you. This is my Buddha. I got him for free. He was hanging out on the porch of an apartment. But that was they moved out. He wasn't like, there weren't people there. They'd moved out, and it was like next to this garbage.
Really
I didn't just go steal it.
Really bad karma. That's really bad karma.
I think it's bad karma to throw him out. I saved him.
Before we answer this question, Jim, do we want to do the giveaway now?
Yeah, go ahead and do the giveaway, and I'll think about the answer.
I've got a number of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 non-us viewers. Does that count look correct to you?
Looks about right. We got some non-signed in viewers here. 1, 2, 3.
Oh. I'll get if you guys are watching and you're not signed in, I will give you approximately 1 minute to sign in and get on my viewer list.
I counted 7 too, for what it's worth, but it doesn't have to be exact. If it's the wrong number, if it goes too high, just re-roll.
1,
because it's
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, I'm looking at 8, I think, unless I'm counting someone I shouldn't be. But I'm going to roll the number. I guess that's going to be it. Okay, we've got 8. What we're going to do is I've just got a random number generator. It's going to give me a number 1 to 8 wherever you show up in the viewer list. Now this might be different for you than it is for me. It might be even different for Jim than it is for me. So really, there's nothing you can do. So don't complain. I really have no reason to give this to someone over another person. So I'm not.
A drum roll, John.
Not rigged. It's not rigged. All right, we have a drum roll. And the number is 8, which means that we are giving the pack away to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And ironically, the number was 8, but the pack is going to Mr. Sevens.
Ooh, congrats, buddy.
7-3. Congratulations, buddy. I know you tune into Jim's cast his cast all the time. You're always in with us. I think you've played Heroes with us too, right? Has he played Heroes with us, Jim?
That's Lucid's. Sevens is still waiting for his invite.
Oh, okay. But Sevens, congratulations. Jim will ship you the pack code.
Yeah, check your Twitch messages. I'll get it to you early in the after show. So if you want, you can redeem it right away. Tell us what you got from it, and blame us when the pack contains crap. All right, so we do have a quick question here before we close down and head to the after show. What's the best way to learn how to draft Arena well? I'm not a big Arena player anymore. I have hit 12 wins with 4 different classes. I've done it with 2 different classes on multiple occasions for a total of 6 12-win performances, I think it is, back when I was building up my collection. I think Arena is a mindset. I think it's something you need to practice, and it's something you need to stay in touch with. Every bit as important to do that as it is with Constructed. General tips for drafting a deck is the efficient creature, the Chillwind Yeti, the Mechanical Yeti, the efficient stats creature is typically better than the spell. So, let's say you're drafting Paladin and you're looking at a Hammer of Justice, 3 damage, draw a card, or you're looking at Chillwind Yeti. I think you snap off the Yeti in a heartbeat.
Right.
Other than that, look to your bombs. It's typically, each class has the cards that it can't, it has trouble winning without. Paladin needs True Silver Champions and Consecrates in order to be able to push for the really high number of wins. Mage just needs this hero ability, maybe some Flame Strikes. So, and the class you pick is not a preference. It is a strategy and it is a choice. Last I knew, the general consensus was Mage, Paladin, with Priest, Rogue kind of falling in line afterwards. And I personally would rate Rogue higher. That's the only one non-mage class I've hit multiple 12 wins with. They're all pretty playable though. So John can speak a little more to what's the the class order, but generally speaking, efficient creatures beat out combat, tricks, and removal. Yeah,
just a basic thing that it's different than Magic because all your minions are also removal, so picking the minion is almost always better than picking the removal, unless it's a board wipe like Flame Strike. Knowing what cards you need to play around, like play around Flame Strike, play around Lightning Storm, play around all that sort of stuff, knowing which cards you need to play around for each class puts you at an extreme advantage over not knowing. The number of times I see people just walk into Flame Strike when they could have played around it is extremely high. And I actually have an article written about Arena strategy, but I haven't posted it yet. It still needs to be edited and looked at. And it might be released in a multiple part series because it's pretty long. But yeah, tempo is extremely important in Arena, much more than even in Magic. Because if you fall behind on board, unless you have a really strong spell or even like legendary, it's really hard to come back if you fall behind on board. And yeah, in the upcoming week, this week I'm going to post at least some of the article in some capacity, so you guys can check that out. If you have any other questions about Arena, feel free to send them to us. But I think we should probably do a formal ending to the show, and then we can move to the after show. Oh yeah.
Yeah, real fast. Aflex had a great question. How do you guys grow such great beards? It's not something that you can control. It takes an incredible amount of laziness to not shave. Resistance to itching when you first grow it in. Afterwards, it will feel like you're just naked when it gets shaved off. So it becomes a part of your face, in the best part of your face. So commit to it early and often, and don't ever shave. That's a big part of my success in that department. Thanks, guys. We're going to close the show out. We will see you next week, 7 p.m. Wednesday. That's Eastern Standard Time. So same Twitch channel, twitch.tv/deathblow. Look at it right on the screen above my head, since there's some letters in there or numbers instead of letters and things like that. So till next week.
Thanks, guys.